This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
Changes are coming. Two specifically that I want to ask you about today, sir, in regards to our 401k plans and new rules that can and will be applied in 2026.
Absolutely.
That's it. This is Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital. I'm Heather Branch, here with Jon to ask him these questions about things we need to know about in regards to better planning for retirement and also better protecting, however we can, our hard-earned savings like our 401k accounts. RetirementSolutionsShow.com is where you can go to talk to Jon and his team, learn more anytime. We also have links posted in the show notes. All right. We want to go through these two new rules. The first one about our investment opportunities within our 401ks. So beginning next year, you, dear listener, the common 401k investor, you're going to have access to alternative investments.
Ooh.
So portfolio manager Jason Katz was telling Fox Business that this new rule comes with a warning. So here's Jason Katz.
Think hedge funds, think private equity, think private credit. Now, this is great to the extent that it's further diversification. You don't need a good stock market for some of those investments to work out. But there's the other side of that. These are opaque. They're not as liquid. The fees are higher. And you're going to have a huge universe of these new funds chasing a finite universe of private investments. So this should be a portion of your assets. It will help mitigate the volatility of your returns, but don't get over your skis. 10 or 20% at most in these alternative investments.
So here's my question. I guess it has to depend on your 401k provider and plan if you're actually going to have these alternative investment opportunities, right?
I think that's true. So right now, less than 4% of 401ks out there have any kind of alternatives involved in them at all, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things the administration's doing, the Trump administration, they want to have more access to these private markets. And let's do a reality check real quick. If you look at public companies, and since 1990, public companies have shrunk from 8,000 down to 4,500. And all of the real money is, think about like Shark Tank, right? All of the real money that people are making, they talk like they're making money hand over fist, has all been in private markets. And so having access to alternatives can open up private credit, private equity, real estate types of development type opportunities, cryptocurrencies, different type of precious metals, different type of international markets that do the same thing, technology funds that have primarily been unavailable. So the whole thing is, and Katz, I like the fact he kind of gave a disclaimer, but if you look at how the wealthiest family offices on the planet, how they manage their money, 40 to 45% of family offices, which are the richest people out there, they put their money in private stuff. They put their money in alternatives. Nearly half when you look at that. So I think that alternatives are great. But
if you know what you're doing,
there's where I was going to go. But they are complicated, right? They are complicated. Now, one of the good things, at least from what we've heard, at least from the information that I've seen and had access to, most of the types of access that we're going to have is going to come through like target date funds or asset classification funds. You're not, at least in the beginning, you're not going to be able to invest specifically in an alternative fund, not by itself. You won't have the opportunity to do that. But you may have, your target date fund may have a 3% allocation or a 5% allocation to alternatives. What would that be like? Alternative energy sources, a cryptocurrency, maybe Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, take your pick. I still don't know what I feel about those things historically, but they're going to have those opportunities. So if you look at it, why I think it's great is that if you look at economic growth around the world, the majority of it's happening in private companies, not public companies. So it's a great democratization, if you will, of allowing us lay people, little guys, to invest just like the billionaires, realistically. But again, take warning, take heed. Some of these things are complicated. And we do believe in my office, we do believe in alternative investments. I think they can be very attractive if you have a level of sophistication, you understand, and I typically do not feel that most people should go up to 50% of their net worth in these types of things because illiquidity, it's hard to get 100% full transparency. If you look at some of the best hedge funds out there, they really don't show you what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. They really only give you a monthly or quarterly report. So if you're hyper wealthy and you know that you're going to hold that investment for a long period of time, and why would you do that? Because frankly, they've outperformed the markets by a long shot, like 2 to 4% a year better over long periods of time, which is pretty good. I mean, that can basically double your money 8 years sooner if you get those type of returns. But having said that, I don't think people should put too much of all their eggs in one basket. Sure. But I think it's great that we're going to have access to alternatives. And I like the fact that the administration's going that direction.
Yeah. Also, you were pointing out how you utilize alternative investments in some of your portfolios. And again, it's like if you know what you're doing. So with the help of a fiduciary on your side to guide you through your alternative investment options, Jon and his team, they are here to be those people, those guides with and for you as well. RetirementSolutionsShow.com is where to go to start that conversation. All right, change number 2.
Yeah.
There's another new rule taking effect next year around the super catch-up contributions to our 401ks.
Yeah.
So explain that.
Yeah, so starting up, I think it was January of next year, January of 2026.
Yeah.
You can do more catch-ups. As a matter of fact, so most people are aware, when you're putting money in your 401k, when you turn 50, between 50 and 59, you can actually do a catch-up payment. You can get up to $7,500 into those accounts, which is great. Now, here's what they call the super catch-up is going to happen. If you're in that sweet spot between age 60 to 63, they allow you to put up to $11,250 in those catch-up type payments
extra
in your 401k.
On top of what you already contribute. Okay.
After on top of that, which is great.
Yeah.
Now, here's a little bit of a caveat. If you do well and you're a great earner and you make over $145,000 a year, all of those catch-up payments, they have to actually go to the Roth. Now, I historically like Roth accounts because it grows, hopefully, over long periods of time and you don't pay any taxes on the way out.
Right.
But I see this as Uncle Sam doing a revenue acceleration scheme. I feel like you almost have to do one of those silly little laughs.
You have to do a laugh when you say scheme.
Yeah. So what they said is, okay, we're going to allow you to do this. And we're going to allow you to put more money away, but we're going to charge you tax dollars now. Right. So if you do a good job earning, you may be paying, 30 to 37% of the tax payment, not including state, in federal taxes. So this is used, in my opinion, as the government kind of accelerating some tax revenue, right? So, but the good news is that we can put more money away. And people that have done a good job saving, they typically like this opportunity because that was one of the biggest issues. When you look at billionaires don't often have a lot of money in tax-deferred accounts. Why? They couldn't get it there. Right? You can only put in X amount a year. If you have an IRA, it used to only be $2,000 a year. Then it went to $3,000. Now we can put as much as $7,500 in those types of things, or our IRAs or our 401ks. Now we can put X amount of dollars in, $19,000 a year, and then it moved up to $26,000 if you have profit sharing. But that was all that anyone could get in there.
Yeah.
So now that we can do more, there are more opportunities for us to defer some money in some of our cases or get it into a tax-free bucket, second place, but we can save more money. I think that is great. Overall. So, everyone that I talk to says, man, I wish I had put more money away a little sooner. But since I didn't, I'm going to take advantage of these catch-up payments. So I think that's great. Now, the big thing is, though, the government is going to make some extra tax revenue off of us. If we've done a good job saving.
Okay. So then what do we need to consider in regards to the tax opportunity or the do's and don'ts tax-wise?
Yeah. So when you kind of look at the 3 different places any of us can invest, there's taxable accounts, tax deferred accounts, and tax free accounts. The biggest thing to me is you want to establish those as kind of different buckets, right? So for your taxable accounts, so that's going to be like your money in your checking account, or if you own some stock, in a company that's not in an IRA or not in a 401k, you typically want those to be in things that are very tax neutral, right? We don't want to have a whole bunch. Here is the worst thing that you can do. Have a taxable account with a bunch of mutual funds in it. Or have a taxable account, you earn a lot of interest income, like CDs or bonds. Why? Because interest income is the most oppressive part of the tax code. You pay the most taxes on interest earned. So we do not want that in taxable accounts. We want our interest earning money, like our bonds or our annuities and things like that. We want those to be in a tax deferred bucket. That would be the best. Okay. So the way that we can use this to our advantage is understand our 3 different buckets, what we have and where. So it's really not about asset allocation. It's about asset location. Now that tax-free bucket, like the Roth or the Roth 401k or Roth IRA, we want that to be our high-flying growth type opportunities. If we own the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, or we may have some of these alternative funds, those would be great to have in a Roth. Why is that? Well, because when we put the money in, we hope it's going to grow a lot over the years. Maybe it doubles or triples or quadruples. We don't want to pay taxes on quadruple the amount. That's be a ripoff to us. And yet you'd be surprised how many people I run into and their high flying stuff is all in a tax deferred account. So in that $100,000 that they got in there grows to $800,000, they got to pay taxes on the $800,000, Heather.
Yep.
That is not very tax savvy at all. So we can fix that, but we have to understand. So I think this creates a really unique opportunity, especially if you deal with a financial advisor that understands the tax game, because it is a game. 100%. It is a game. There are rules to this game. It's like chess. It's unlike checkers. So we want to know, is it strategic? Should I move rook? Should I move my knight? Should I move my queen? What about the bishop? How about the pawns? Yes, every once in a while the pawns get taken. It's okay as long as you can get to that check or checkmate point. So that is the tax game. And that is always what we're focusing on in my office at J. Hagan Capital, simply because it's a big portion of our money. Yeah. And we want to make sure that we keep more of it and keep Uncle Sam at bay. That's the whole point.
Goals. Stay away, Uncle Sam. You can't have all my money.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, we got over nearly $38 trillion in national debt. That does not include not having a balanced budget. It doesn't include whatever money we're going to spend on wars, whatever money that the government is going to start investing into other companies. This is going to be a long debt cycle. And I think the government's going to need more of our money. So we have to be very savvy and smart about how we allocate it, because if the government's going to need more money, all it's going to do is one thing: knock on our door and come take it from us, right? And there is precedent, not only in European nations, but in the United States, that if the government needs more of our money, it will just start to take it. Now, they're going to have laws around it. There will be some rules, but it won't be very nice. So we want to make sure that we can be as smart as we can with the tax code we're currently given. We want to exploit it. That is not a bad word. It just means that we're using the tax code to our best favor. That's it. And if we do that correctly, we will win to fight another day and win the chess match.
And reminder, where we started this conversation talking about 401ks and changes that are coming, for the most part, I believe most of 401k money is tax deferred,
which means
across America.
We have an IOU.
The government's got its eye on it. Oh, yeah. So
they have an IOU. So we have to make sure that we are doing these smart things, because later on, we know the tax rate right now. 10 years from now, it could be twice that amount. It's been higher than that historically, guys. You have to understand. You only have to go back to the 60s, where the highest marginal tax bracket was over 90%. And the lowest tax bracket was in the 30%. I think it was 32 or 36% was the lowest tax bracket. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves from that possibility.
RetirementSolutionShow.com is where to go to start the conversation with Jon and his team about these 401k new rules that are coming in 2026, about how to do better with your 401k and tax options that you might have. It's different for every single person that they meet with J. Hagan Capital, so they need to meet with you to help you understand what's really going on within your savings and what your options are. So you can begin that conversation by clicking the links we got posted in the show notes, or again, just go to the website, RetirementSolutionShow.com. Let's get to work helping you with your 401k.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with Jon Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with Jon and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting RetirementSolutionRadio.com. Be sure to listen to Jon's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency, and does not provide legal or tax advice. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through J. Hagan Capital, LLC, NPN number 188279094.